Hey, what's up, guys? So, gonna go here to the local hardware store. I got a couple Amazon packages that I gotta take back. So while I'm there, I'm gonna see if they have any cool knives to possibly purchase at hopefully not a very expensive price. They've got a bunch of different knives there, but you know, I'm thinking something maybe around 20 bucks if they have it. So stay tuned and let's see what we can find. Can I see one of these buck knives right here real quick?
What?
This buck knife on the end right there?
That's a nice knife.
Yeah, I know. Did you just get those?
Mm-hmm. It's expensive. They're like 160.
I'm sure. Is that like the
It's a switchblade.
spring assisted one?
Yeah, can't bring down when you press that button.
Yeah.
As long as that red, I think it's the red. Yeah,
That's the button to release it.
yeah. So if you leave it
Oh,
up,
it's got like a safety almost.
that's a safety. Yeah.
That's cool. What's it made out of?
Mm.
Oh, 154 cm. Yeah,
Is that good?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
Let me pull it. Yep.
Man, that son bugger is sweet there.
Oh, there you go.
Hope you're not trying to have any more.
Alrighty, sir.
I actually do want to get one of these ones down here. This sheep, the one with like the kind of bone handle. Yeah, that's only 20 bucks, right? Yeah. Yeah, let me get that guy.
Cut right through there. Check that out. Make
Looks
sure
like a pretty cool knife for 20 bucks. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. You good?
Yeah, I pay over there, right?
Yes.
Alrighty. Cool. Appreciate you.
All right.
Take it easy. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad.
Good. This is the 1999.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, driving back to the house, we just picked up our $19.99 full tang knife from the local hardware store, and looks like a pretty cool knife for $19.99. Elk Ridge Badlands. So we'll do a little unboxing of this knife together and we'll check her out. So I'll catch you when we get back to the tabletop. All right, guys. Well, we're back to the house. We're back here at the tabletop, and we've got the knife. So we're gonna unbox this puppy together and check her out, see what we think. Hey, if it's your first time here, if you're stopping into the channel for the first time, I appreciate you being here. Hopefully by the end of the video, you might give it a thumbs up or you might subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you did. And if you're a returning viewer, hey, thanks for coming back, and hit that old thumbs up for me. So that was a pretty sweet knife there that old fella was showing me, that Buck knife auto deploy. Now that's a new knife from Buck. I looked it up when I got home, and it's on their website as a fairly new knife. And those knives, pretty damn nice. I wouldn't mind having one of those to review for the channel, but at $169, we're probably just going to have to wait till maybe we get a few more subscribers before we have that knife on the channel. But we do have this Elk Ridge Badlands knife that I picked up. Oh, and while I'm on the subject of budget knives, which this one certainly is, I have been EDCing the Amazon $10 knife pretty much ever since I did that last review video. Just a quick update, and man, I'm really liking this. Even though I have knives that are far superior to this knife. I've been carrying this one ever since I did that review video, which I will stick up somewhere here if you haven't seen it. Check it out. You'd probably be pretty surprised with that $10 budget Amazon knife. So now remember, when we're talking budget knives here, guys, this is like, to me, I keep that in perspective the whole time that I'm reviewing these knives and I'm checking them out and I'm looking at these knives. I'm keeping in mind, these are 10, 15, 20, $25 knives, and in this case, $19.99. So in my mind, this is a knife that you pick up and it's a spare knife, or you lost your knife and you're out hunting, you're at hunting camp and you lost your knife, and you go down to the local hardware store or whatever, and this knife's on the shelf for 20, $25, and it kind of catches your eye and it's got the look and it looks the part, and you're like, all right, look, I'm not going to spend $90 to replace my knife right now. Go ahead and give me that knife. It looks good. Hopefully it'll get the job done. And that's kind of what I'm trying to accomplish with these budget knife reviews is, look, can you get yourself a decent, serviceable knife that's not going to break the bank, and that you can actually go out into the woods and you can hunt, and you can skin animals, you can baton with, you can cut food back at camp, and you can do all the things that you need a knife to do, but it's not a total junkety piece of crap. All right. And that's what I'm hoping that I got here. Now, look, I grabbed this knife solely 100% based off the way it looked. All right, it was in the side of the cabinet, which you saw in some of the video there. They've got a bunch of different knives there, and I'm always eyeballing them. And this is probably the first knife that I've bought out in the wild in a few years. A lot of my knives I would buy online for convenience, but I haven't bought a knife at a store, let alone a little small local mom and pop store, in a very, very long time. So it was fun to do that. It kind of felt like I was, excuse me, going back to my childhood a little bit. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to accomplish the mission of getting a knife for $20 or less, and I wanted it to look like, something you could go out and bushcraft with, hunt with, whatever. And this knife, I didn't touch it. He popped it open, as you saw, just to confirm it was the knife. But as I said, I bought this puppy straight off of looks. So let's check this thing out together and see what we think. Now, I went ahead and I did a little bit of research online for the video about this Elk Ridge brand of knives. They're Chinese knives. They have a ton of different knives that this company makes. I mean, every type of flavor of knife that you could possibly want. They've got straight up bushcrafters. They've got fancy pocket knives. They've got parangs, small machetes. I mean, you name it, this company has it. And I looked on multiple websites for this particular knife, and they're sold out. They don't have any. Maybe you can get them on Amazon. I didn't dig too deep. I was mainly looking for information of what type of blade steel that we have here, and what they're calling this knife and things like that. So, all right. So I love initial impressions, right? I'm a initial impressions kind of guy when it comes to gear, knives, especially when it's something on a budget. What does it say to me, right? What does the knife say to me as soon as I take it out of the box and I take it out of in this case, the cellophane? So first thing, right, here we go. There it is. Nylon pouch, okay? What is this knife? What is it saying to me as soon as I take it out? Well, it's saying, hey, you paid less than 20 bucks for this knife. And the sheath reflects that. Now, some companies, that's what they do. They put more money into the knife design, and you get a budget sheath. And, does it work? Well, look, this sheath is going to work. Now, I can tell, is it going to stand the test of time? A lot of hard, rugged abuse. Yeah, it'll probably last a good while. It'll be good enough. It's a nylon sheath. But what I do like is that they have it reinforced here with some rivets. That's good, because I've always noticed on these cheaper nylon sheaths, this is one of the first things that starts to go on them, is right here. This stitching around the cutting edge of the knife. That always starts to go. Now, a lot of times with these cheaper sheaths and these cheaper knives, when they have a nylon sheath like this, they will throw you a bone and they'll line it with plastic. But they didn't do that in this case. I can just feel that this thing is not lined with plastic. It is padded. It's not super, super thin, but this is basically, I go to like a knife show or a gun show or something. I'm going to try to find a replacement sheath for this knife and just toss this in the extra parts bin. All right, so that's kind of my breakdown on the sheath. Now, um, what I did notice about the sheath is um, it'll accommodate a pretty good sized belt. Just to let you know, there, probably like a 2-inch belt. Now, let's get into it. Let's get into the Elk Ridge Badlands knife. Now, initial impressions. This knife caught my eye as soon as I saw it when I got there and I was looking in the case at the store. All right. And the reason it caught my eye is because it kind of, it's got that rugged outdoors kind of look, right? It's got that old school bone handle. Now it's false bone, of course. Who the hell knows what it's really made out of? Some kind of plastic that you know, they etched and they dyed or whatever they did. And look, that's fine. I don't need a real bone handle blade or knife scales or grips. I don't have to have that. I like the look of the fake one. That's fine with me for $19.99. Again, let's keep this in perspective. This is a sub $20 knife. All right. So when I first look at it, I say, well, what appealed to me about this knife was, you know, it kind of has that Scandinavian look to it a little bit, right? The blade it's not a Scandi grind, necessarily, but it just kind of the way it has that kind of, sloping drop point there. It just reminded me of like a Scandinavian knife, and I like that. Those Scandi knives, they always just kind of remind me of a knife that you would just carry and you would bushcraft with, and you would skin animals with, and you would cut your food with it back at camp, right? Just that do it all kind of really cool old school Scandi knives. I really like those. So that kind of, you know, this knife kind of looked like that to me a little bit and appealed to me in that way to my eye. I like the lines of it. And as I said in one of my last videos, when I buy a knife, a budget knife especially, I want it to look like it cost more than what I paid for it, because that's part of the appeal to me of having a budget knife, right? It looks like it cost more. And if you put this in someone's hand, I don't want them to say, yeah, you paid 15, $20 for this. I want them to say, yeah, maybe you paid $40 for this, right? And I could see where maybe you pay $40 for this knife, possibly just off of the way it feels in my hand. Right? We see it's full tang. It's probably at least 3/16 of an inch thick. Now, from their website, they said that it's 3CR13 steel, 3.5-inch drop point blade, not a full hollow grind. So you kind of almost go from the hollow straight into a saber grind, which is nice because it's kind of a good dual purpose knife. You can baton with this and it's not going to get stuck in the wood and like a full hollow grind or a flat grind would. But it's still good for like, finer slicing like meats and cheeses and things like that back at camp. So I like that. Um, so as I said, full tang. Now you can see where they've got these steel liners in here between the fake bone and what looks like to be some kind of either wood or some other type of composite. It looks like it's stained wood to me though. And I like that. Like this knife looks like a knife that would be like an old cowboy movie or a cowboy and Indians movie, and the Indian pulls out his knife and the cowboy pulls out his knife, which would be like the bone handled Bowie knife or something like that. That's kind of what it reminds me of. This just looks like a knife you would have around deer camp or elk camp, and you would use it for everything. You would just take it out and you wouldn't be afraid to use it. See how they've got that laser cut bull elk there? It's kind of neat. Not mad at them for that. Can't tell if it's 5x5 or 6x6, but uh, that's cool. I like it. I like that little kind of accent there. And you see where they got Elk Ridge laser etched into the blade, and then on the other side they've got their uh, says stainless steel. It's got the designation number of the knife. What else does it say on there? Stainless steel, custom design, even in nice flowery cursive letters there at the I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to. It's sometimes really hard to catch things like this on the camera and get the light just right to where you can read that. But says custom design, guys. Hey, for $19.99, I got me a custom knife. So let's talk about the handle. Now, there's no jimping or anything to speak of on the back of the blade, which is fine. Jimping's not a deal breaker for me at all. A knife has it, it doesn't have it. Sometimes I'd rather a knife not have jimping, just for the simple fact that if they don't get it right, then all it does is just it hurts your thumb, and it's really just it's a flaw in the knife. So if you're not going to do jimping just right, then no jimping at all is fine with me. But nice solid feeling knife without being excessively heavy, but it still feels like I've got something in my hand. If I was going to feather stick with this or something, my thumb kind of naturally goes to this point on the handle where, you've got a little meat there. You've got something to rest your thumb on. So, you know, your thumb's not going to get real sore and fatigued right there, because you've got this on the scales of the knife. You've got this nice kind of wide area for your thumb to rest. So I like that. The handle, for someone like me with larger hands, the handle could fill my hand a little bit better, but that would make the knife longer and heavier. But overall, it fills my hand decently well, and I do have big hands, but it still fills my hand well enough. You can see where at the end here they've extended the lanyard, and they've kind of got a almost like a skull crusher window breaker cut on that, that triangle cut. And you really could use it for that. You could use it if you had to bunk somebody on the head, or if you had to break a window. That would do that very nicely, as a matter of fact. Or you could go ahead and run your lanyard through it if you wanted to. Brass pins, brass bolsters there, and they're sanded down really nicely. There's really not any hard, sharp edges on this knife, and for $19.99, that's usually something where a lot of knives will kind of lack, is in the aesthetics, right? Or in the comfortability. There will be like hard edges, and it'll hurt your hand eventually from using it for a long time. But overall, this knife is pretty comfortable. Right here on the back end, where the bottom of my palm kind of rubs against this. This is just a touch harsh right here, but I could easily just Dremel that down or sand that down, and that would be no problem whatsoever to just kind of smooth that out and round that off a little bit more. That wouldn't be a problem at all. Um, but look, for 20 bucks, guys, not even. This is a decent little knife. And I can tell you right now, just by feeling this knife in my hand, I would have no qualms whatsoever taking this knife on an adventure, whether I was deer hunting, elk hunting, whatever I was doing, camping, bushcrafting. I would baton with this knife right now. I'm not going to do it right here because this is just an initial impressions, but I would have no problem whatsoever carrying this knife. It feels pretty decently sharp right out of the box. That's another thing that's important to me. I want to be able to take a knife right out of the box, and I want to be able to use it. Now, I would hit this with my ceramic rod, and I think that's going to really give it a keen edge, as it has a decent edge right out of the box. One thing I'm not a super big fan of on knives, and I've got a lot of knives that do this, is right here how the back of the blade, it's got this little circular half circle cut, or the blade kind of drops, off and it goes up on a 90-degree angle. I don't like that, because when you're cutting rope or something like that, those little relief cuts, or when the blade ends in a sharp 90, it gets caught on rope when you're cutting it, and it gets hung up. And to me, that's just not good. I don't want my knife to do that. I want, like with this Kershaw Blur here, well, that's got it too. That's not a good example. I got a whole pile of knives in front of me here, and I'm trying to find an example of what I mean. There you go. Like with this Mora Companion. You see how this Mora Companion, how the blade just goes straight to the hilt? That's what I'm talking about. That's not going to get hung up on anything, or straight to the finger guard. It's not going to get hung up on anything when you cut rope or anything. So I would prefer all my knives to be like that. Now that would be easy, very easy for me to Dremel out. I could Dremel that out in about probably 3 minutes and be done with it. And maybe I'll do that. So what I do like about this too is it's got a 90-degree spine on it. So I don't see any reason why this knife shouldn't throw sparks. Yeah, look. Oh yeah. So for your bushcrafty things, she threw sparks really well. All right, cut test. All right. Now this is a lot thinner paper. There we go. Just kind of had to get the paper the right way. Get a feel for it. So not as sharp as the Amazon knife right out of the box. But not terrible. It's kind of, you know how it is when you cut paper. There we go. You kind of got to get it just right. Feels like there's one spot in it. It's like a little dead spot where it starts cutting pretty good. All right, so you know what? Decently sharp out of the box. Nothing spectacular, but something you could definitely use right out of the box. All right, guys. Well, that's my initial review of the Elk Ridge Badlands full tang stainless steel false bone jigged bone handle knife. I like it, and I might carry this knife and use it sometimes. But at the very least, this is going to be a sweet backup knife to have. And I'd like to get a nice leather sheath for it. That would really make a big difference to me. So, all right, guys. Well, that's all I got on this one. I appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoy the gear reviews. I know I've done a few knife reviews now, but I got a pile of knives and I love knives, and I thought it would be fun to pick one up in town and just for like $20 at the local store and see what $20 can get you out in the wild for a decent sheath knife. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much. Please hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It'll really help grow the channel, and that's really what I want to do, is get the channel bigger so I can just make more and more content. And that's all I got. So I'll see you guys on the happy hunting grounds. Thank you so much for watching.